the crimes that is going on in the streets, not just Millersville, Baldwin County, but seem to be an epidemic all over the land. And what would you say, perhaps that might be the motivation behind some of these crimes, or the young people participating in it?
I'm gonna say looking for a group that they can fit in, looking for attention, not enough love at home, not enough attention at home. I have always worked around children, and of course we know an idle mind is the devil's playground. So when somebody is not busy, it leaves room for them to figure things out or be mischievous. Like whatever they want to get into, they're gonna get into. A lot of kids too, though, they don't have what they need at home. You might have a house full of people, but ain't nobody paying you no attention. You might have, you on your phone, you on your tablet, you on your game. You ain't had no conversation with nobody in the house. Don't nobody know how your day went, whether you had a good day, bad day. Nobody knows about that little girl that was picking on you today, or that little boy that was picking on you today because you're scared to talk to him, because nobody's asked. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, like I heard Lisa say a while ago, the parents have their own set of responsibilities, and sometimes a conversation is not that priority. I mean, I know when I was growing up, we always sat at the dinner table for dinner. There's a lot of kids who don't have that opportunity no more to sit down with the family and just discuss, different things. But I will say boredom will lead to increased violence. Having nothing to do, having no resources, you don't have a hobby, you don't have a passion. Even if you have a hobby or you have a passion, you don't have anybody to push you to explore it deeper, or to get better at it, And a lot of people, they just don't have the attention and the conversation that they need to have at home. And they're distracted by, like I said, the electronics, the toys, the phones. And then because they don't get this from home, ain't nobody talking to them, of course they're gonna get it somewhere else. And for a lot of boys, that ends up being the neighborhood kids. Or the
So
older
buying things. So buying things doesn't work.
I don't think buying things for kids, that's not it. Like, a child can have everything from the latest phone to the latest, like all the best toys, all the stuff that's in. But if they are not able to have the attention from, sometimes people be like, what is wrong with this little boy? He's so bad. And I always tell people when I hear them say that, I'm like, he's not bad. He's busy. He's busy. He needs something else to do to get that energy out. So instead of using it to, run around and tear up all your stuff, take him to the park, put him in a sport. You know what I'm saying? Like, give him something to do to redirect that negative energy. But toys, like just buying stuff and putting it in his face to keep him out of your face, that's not the solution. And then, like I said, it always comes back to whether or not they can talk to you. If they can't talk to you, that's a huge thing for me with children.
Communication.
Medication.
Communication, you say.
Oh, communication. Communication is huge. They need to be able to communicate and ask questions without feeling like every time I ask a question, they telling me to be quiet. They telling me to mind my business. They telling me to leave them alone. Or I'm getting in trouble. I can't ask this because I'm getting in trouble. Or are they scared because of what happens when they ask questions, A lot of people don't give children the voice that they really have. And then by the time that they get 11, 12, 13, you trying to figure out what's wrong with them. Why they acting like this? I can't get her to whatever. And it's like, well, she been telling you and showing you, So, people don't pay attention. But you can't pay attention if you're busy, or you can't pay attention if you're not there. So they're gonna look for that validation. I mean, I do hair and I had a lot of children clients, and their hair appointments with me would be some of their best days. And that's just because they knew that when they came to see Miss Jamarra, they could talk about whatever they wanted to talk about with me, and I was gonna listen. And even if it was something that I didn't agree with, I never made them feel bad about it. It was just an open line of communication, but they loved to see me just because they knew that they had the floor to speak. However you felt, whatever you did today, whatever was on your mind, I'm gonna listen. And a lot of times you'll see that their behavior is a reflection. It's a cry for attention a lot of times. So when these little boys be out here, tearing up folks' stuff, stealing people's stuff, they're looking for attention. And because they can't get the attention that they want, they'll settle for any type of attention, as long as it makes you pay attention to them. So,
I heard a young girl say the other day, she's about 18 years old. And she said that the old school, the generation of my baby boomers, which we are the grandparents, some of those who are doing the drive-by, she said that they be brainwashed in the street, saying that our generation moved too slow for them and they have the will to move faster. But this particular person ended up coming back, going back to their residence where they was reared, because they understood that they had a gift, or they was gifted to be able to see into things a little deeper. And they pulled away from that crowd and began to get themselves together. From that, I gather that we don't understand their language and really where they're trying to go. And I think you hit the nail on the head when it comes to communicating and having conversation. Some of us are good conversational pieces, and we can spark a conversation. And some of us, we really don't hold conversation well. I can hold a conversation, but I yet try to understand the language of the younger people, because I don't think they understand my language. Now, my granddaughter said she was blessed to have Sister Shinholster to interpret what I would say from the pulpit. Not everyone have that blessing, have someone to interpret when we use a language like, I'm gonna give you a quick example. When the older people get up and we pray, last night, laying down with my cooling board, they don't know what we're talking about in that prayer. Or like drawing water from grandmother's well. Most of them don't even know what a well is, So we got to readjust and learn a language and incorporate that language in ours so that they can receive the attention that they need, So I think conversation build relationships, and relationships will help cease some of the crime in the street. Old school, we have to make some adjustments. I'm not gonna say the way I read it was bad, but we just got to make some adjustments and incorporate some things, and not say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. It's broken pieces right now, but it can be put back together again, if I made any sense.
I agree.
Oh, we still here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't. I have one. I have one other thing to ask Jamarra, because she talked about the fact that she ended up back home, and she grew up in the church. So what was your support system like? Were you made to feel as if you failed? And how did you work through that? Because you're a successful business owner now, and it didn't happen overnight. How were you able to pivot from where you were? And what? I know your dad gave you real talk. But was he? Did you get the support you felt like you needed from your church? and from your family?
I had the support of certain church members. There were certain people, I could call them by name right now, who no matter what my journey was in school, they always reached out to me. They always offered me resources. They always tried to figure out, like, what are you doing? Where are you at with it? What do you like? What don't you like? Is this really the path for you? And they would give me resources. But of course, everybody tries to offer you their opinion on what they think you should do next. And instead of trying to figure out what it is that you want to do and then helping you get there. So my support from school and coming back home and stuff from the church, it was a few people. It was probably about maybe 3 or 4 people who offered that. Family wise, it was pretty much like, kind of figure out what you want to do, Jamarra. If you like it, I love it. It was also just finish, like just get finished. Choose you a degree and stick to it and finish. And I probably changed my major 3-4 different times. I probably went to 3-4 different colleges. And so it eventually got to the point where it was like, girl, are you ever gonna finish? You've been in school 5, 6, 7 years. You done changed your degree. How much longer you got? Just finish. And I couldn't find anything that I really, really, really liked though. So what I wanted to do was not at the 4-year institutions that I was going to, but I still was, everybody wanted me to get the degree so you can have a job with some benefits and some longevity. And I always said, okay, I'm gonna do that, but on the back end, I'm gonna always do hair. So I ended up, I don't know, I went to college probably like 8 years. I could have a PhD at this point and still don't even have a bachelor's, because I ended up deciding that what was for me was doing hair and getting my cosmetology license. And I went to my dad one day and I told him, I was like, I can't do it. I can't do this college thing another day. I want to do hair and that's what I want to do. And he encouraged me to step out and do that. But I feel like as long as I was trying to maneuver in a way that wasn't really true to what I wanted to do, it made it more difficult. So I feel like whatever support system you have, no matter whether it's, if it's your church family, whatever, it's also important that they support what it is that you are interested in and not necessarily what they want for you or what they see you doing. I think that's one of the biggest things, is to encourage and support the path that somebody has chosen and what they have said that they want to do, rather than pushing a different agenda or something that's what most of us are used to. A lot of people say, work in the medical field, you'll always find a job, or work here, work there. But I mean, everybody don't want to be a doctor or a nurse, or, everybody don't want to be a teacher. Everybody don't want to be, a lawyer. I mean, and that's okay. So whatever path it is, and whoever your support system is, as long as they are supporting your overall goals, and helping you achieve those, whether it's what they want to see you do or not. I think that's the most important part. But I mean, I had some good support. I still have some good support. But sometimes it takes us to show others and the older people what's possible. And I feel like that's kind of what I have done. It's a lot of people around me who are not entrepreneurs, probably didn't even go to school. And so it's hard for somebody to encourage something that they don't know what the other side is. So sometimes it takes the younger generation to have that ability to risk it all, to show that there is another way. And those other ways are just as powerful as some of the old school ways. that some people are stuck in, the 9 to 5, all of that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but that's not everybody's path, you know? So just being able to identify that that's not everybody's path, and there are different ways. And, you know, a lot of the young people, like you said, Uncle Tony, like they move fast. You know, it's not the slow pace no more. It's like, well, this is what I can use a computer, I can get this done, I can handle this while I'm doing that. So, you know, I think we need to welcome entrepreneurship, you know, and understand that every single person has their own skills and gifts and talents, and any of it can be used to make a profit, even if you choose not to do what has always been done. You know, some people, it's like, you're gonna go to the military because your daddy was in the military, your granddaddy was in the military, your great granddaddy was in the military, but you do not want to be a soldier, you know, and they'll try to push that just because that's what everybody else has done. But you want to go over here and build computers or work on cars. And somebody who has a family lineage in the military gonna look at you crazy when you come tell them, I just want to be a mechanic. I don't want to do all that. I just want to be a mechanic. But it's important to encourage those dreams of being a mechanic, just as it is to encourage these people who actually wanted to go and serve the country and work and be in the military. So I think that's important.
So then, I think what I hear you saying, I'm trying to see how I want to say this. There must be a base for every child or person to start off on. There must be a foundation. I use that word, foundation. And the foundation that I tried to start my children or family and other children was the foundation that was laid upon me by my parents and grandparents. And those things now are looked at as old school or traditional ways and settings. But there's some good in those old settings and traditional ways that will reduce or get rid of some of the troubles that we're having in the land. It may appear to be slow, but it's bona fide. It's bona fide. It's proof in the pudding that if we follow this path, or if they take note of the path and add it to what they are doing, I think they'll be successful. And instead of just pushing it, the old model or foundation out of the way and say, I'm gonna build my own, but use what we have done for a foundation and a step to go to the next level. And we not criticize one another in what we are doing. Don't criticize the way I come, and I not criticize your ideas and your thoughts. Let's see how we can blend them together and come out with a good pound cake if they blend it right.
Is your computer?
Anyone else?
Is your...
Sister, you know,
So, well,
our time might be coming to an end.
it is. I have one last question for Jamarra. And that one last question is, because I told you I'm recruiting. Your daddy has a legacy at this church, and girl, you can blow. So what would be your parting advice to the church on some things we need to think about to get youth to come back? I think she got stuck.
That's something you really need to think about.
Did you hear me?
And
Did you hear me? Jamarra, did you hear me? You're muted.
Sorry, I had got kicked out. I'm sorry. What did you say?
What are, as we close this, what would be your parting words to the church to, some things that we need to consider to get youth more engaged, to, with COVID being the way that it is, we want the church to address the needs of the community, and the members and its community. What do we need to consider as a gateway to get the youth back to the church?
Open the doors without judgment. When I say that, I mean literally open the doors without judgment, as far as letting any, I feel like the church is supposed to be a safe place for anybody, no matter the age. So in addition to changing with the times to accommodate the youth, they don't want to hear a bunch of hymns. They don't understand them. They don't know what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to change everything about a foundation, but you do have to implement certain things that are going to catch the attention of the children. I mean, I know grown people who won't sometimes go to church if it's too slow or if it's not lively enough, and then they can't, they have to be engaged. So it's like, what is it that engages the children? It's the music, is the program, as far as like, what goes on. Are they able to participate? Or are they just expected to come in, sit down, be quiet, don't talk, don't eat, don't chew no candy, don't do none of that, and just listen? But they're expected to listen to a bunch of stuff they don't understand. So it has to be some, people that they understand and some people that understand them. And then, like Uncle Tony said, speaking their language. And then it's like, well, what is their language? It's music, it's animation, it's liveliness, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not just sitting down with no part to play. And then, like I said, when I say open the doors without judgment, I mean the church is supposed to be a place that can welcome anybody with where they are. And a lot of times it's one of the places where people feel like they should not go because everybody looking at them with their nose turned up if you do not fit a certain, a certain definition of what somebody else might. So I think the way to truly get to people is to understand them without judging them. So if I decide I want to come to church and I ain't been to church in 5 years and I'm finally gonna give it a chance, and I step into that church as I am today, I'm not talking about how I'm dressed. I literally mean as I am as a person today. And I feel like when I walk in that church, if I don't fit the look, if my lifestyle ain't what, somebody else might agree with, and I walk in that church looking for a home and somewhere that I can learn and grow in the word, and everybody looking at me like, what is she doing? What she got on? Who is this with her? Oh, she this and she that, like, judging people instead of getting to learn who they are, looking at their heart just like God does. I think that's one of the biggest things that'll turn people away. So I think that's one of the biggest things, like I said, and changing with the times and appealing to the children and meeting them where they are and allowing them to have conversations and build relationships without being judged. That is one of the keys. Because
I think that's good.
A lot of kids, they be scared because they like, I don't look like them, I don't dress like them, I don't have them type of clothes, I don't have them type of friends, my lifestyle is completely different. So they be scared to come in because of how they're going to be received or not be received. So
I think all of that is good. And I think our time has come to an end with this forum. And Von Chapel, you have heard, and friends you have heard tonight coming from our youth, a young lady, an entrepreneur, who now seem to be residing in Millersville for a while. And we thank God for her. we have some adjustments and readjusting to do. We have to be more animated and we have to become a little bit more lively. We've tried these things at Bond Chapel. We tried to take the second and fourth Sunday and become more lively and animated, and it seemed like we have drifted back to the old way. So that means for when the choir sings, that means when we do devotion, when we have a conversation with them, get rid of the judgment, and see can we meet them where they are. Meet them where they are. If they're not dressed like you want them to be dressed, look at the heart. And eventually you be an example to them, and we be an example to them. Maybe we will win them over from time to time. They will put on banquet clothes, or they'll put on something else, but don't slap them time you see them. Understand them, meet them where they are. Jamarra, we appreciate the conversation tonight with us. And I certainly made a page full of notes. And I hope others have made notes of what to do on Sunday morning and what to do in our youth department. Sister Shinos.
Let's give Jamarra a hand. We thank her.